So the year is 2010, and the church that I was attending at the time, Cross Plains, was partnering with Cornerstone Church, and we were going to go to Israel.
So in 2010, I found out that the church that I was attending and another church was joining together to go to Israel in November. And from the moment that I heard the news, I knew that I had to go. Like, this was a trip that I had to make happen.
And it was one of those moments that you just know that beyond a shadow of a doubt, that's something that you have to do.
So I knew that the Lord was really going to have to perform a miracle for me to even be able to go. So I started saving and just trying to do everything that I could to make this trip happen. And over the course of about 3 to 4 months, the Lord just performed miracle after miracle. And I was able to completely fund this trip, this adventure of a lifetime that I was about to go on. And honestly, if that had been the only thing the Lord had done, was to get me to Israel, it would have been amazing. But I was about to find out that the Lord had something even more amazing in store for me.
I start saving, I'm putting money back, I'm doing everything that I can, and come time for the Israel trip, here we are about to get on the plane, ready to go, and I see her. And there was an infinite moment of, hey, how you doing? Oh, that's not why we're here.
The day that we left, we were all standing at the gate, getting ready to board our plane, when I kind of look to my left and I see this really cute guy talking to one of my friends. And my thought was, well, hey, he's really cute. Who's that? But I instantly reprimanded myself, Tara, you are going to Israel. This is about you and Jesus. This is not about you finding a man. So I just kind of put it on the back burner, and I did really good at focusing on the trip for 7 days.
Somewhere in the middle of the trip, we are at the Pool of Bethesda, and just in case you're wondering, that's the one straight out of John 5, and we're praying, and we've learned about the pool, and we've read the scriptures, and Pastor Mike grabs me by the hand and drags me over to where Tara is standing.
And he links our hands together and he said, Tara, I really feel like Alex needs to pray for you. He's been going through a lot of the same things that you have, and I don't know, I just feel like he needs to pray for you. And he left. He just walked away.
So the first words that I ever said to my wife were, hey, can I pray with you? So I did. She said yes, thankfully. Otherwise, that would have been really awkward.
So he prays over me, and we do the Christian thing where you side hug. But in that hug, I had the weirdest moment. It was like, wow, I perfectly fit under this man's arm. And I tried really hard just to get back focused on what we were doing, but there was just something about that prayer that just kept my attention, and I just really felt like we needed to talk more about it.
We stopped somewhere, and Tara says, hey, I'd really like to ask you some questions about that prayer that you prayed. And I was trying to play it cool. I did not. I'm like, okay, yeah, right now? Okay, yeah, let's go now. Okay, cool. So I took her friend Lindsay's seat, and Lindsay had to find another seat on the bus. Sorry. But I took her seat, and we started talking, and several hours into our conversation, there was a shift that happened that neither one of us realized had happened until it was too late.
And it started with talking about that prayer, and then it went into sharing stories and just getting to know each other better. And then it turned into flirting.
And trying to lay down our best game. Her more than me. But it's the truth.
As it got later in the night, more and more people went up to their room, and Alex and I found ourselves in the courtyard talking until like 2 o'clock in the morning. So we spent the rest of our Israel trip together. So the last 3 days that we were in Israel, we never left each other's side. We got to experience the last 3 days together.
We get on the plane ride home, and she didn't tell you guys this part, but the whole 12-hour plane ride home, the lady sitting next to her is trying to set her up with a businessman from California. I'm like 2 seats up and an aisle over, and I'm like trying to like slide notes back on the plane and trying to bend around and talk and trying to lay down some game. And this whole time, the person sitting next to her is trying to get her hooked up with a businessman from Cali. And then we got on the plane from Philadelphia back to Atlanta, and I fought with it and wrestled with it, and I'm like, okay, you gotta be cool. What is the coolest thing that you can say? What is the coolest thing that you can possibly say right now? I know. The ball's in your court, ballerina. And I gave her my number, and
I would like to say that I played it really cool and that I waited 2 or 3 days before I text him, but the truth is I waited like 4 hours.
Walked off of that plane thinking, well, that was the dumbest thing I've ever said. But it worked. And here we are.
And I texted him and just said, hey, just, wanted you to have my number. But that one text message turned into many text messages that turned into conversations that lasted for hours, that turned into a first date and then a second date. And honestly, we've been together ever since.